you just have to keep pressuring him.
Oh my god, oh boy.
Oh my.
He knows
Whoa.
now. He knows now.
Wow, that is fast to get.
The Jaeyun's actually out of control this game, man.
Insane against Zerglings. Or against. Protoss is going to win this fight.
No, he's not.
Well, are there
The
Guardians
Guardian's
in those
clear
shuttles,
it.
right?
He has no anti-air.
Even if he kills with the Ultras, by the end, there's too many Guardians.
Oh, I thought there were
GG.
Reapers in that shuttle, man.
Hell of a
Damn.
game.
That was a sick game.
Jaeyun! We're not even going to
Wow.
ask you about the first 2 games. What a game 3. Holy shit.
So I am David Kim. My AKA is Jaeyun in the Starcraft community. I am a Starcraft Remastered competitive gamer, caster, and just a general personality. You know, I stream on Twitch. I've been playing Starcraft basically my entire life. You know, I owned a Macintosh, so I couldn't play any other games. So throughout middle school, high school, I participated in some events, not as a professional gamer, but more as like a competitive North American gamer. There was some, you know, collegiate Star Leagues that I was a part of back in my time in San Diego. That was really cool. But after that, I also kind of quit for about 4 or 5 years and came back to the game mid-2017 when Starcraft Remastered came out. And so that was also just the, you know, a lot of people started coming in at that time as well. And ever since I started to stream, I started to be more competitive again, especially in North America. Participated in some large offline events like the Zotac Cup. I was also invited to a number of LANs like Twitch Holiday Bash, and Blizzard sponsored StarCraft 20th Remastered events. And yeah, just on top of that, a lot of small other kind of grassroots type events and just streaming. So the seed was planted when I was back in college. I had these 2 roommates, Danny and Andrew. They owned a mechanical keyboard that I can hear from my room, and it was really annoying. I thought it was crazy that they would spend, you know, over $100 for this Leopold keyboard that I didn't really know much of. I thought it was really dumb, but fast forward a few years, I started to work at home full time. I work as an actuary, and I decided that I wanted to invest in a nice setup. And I remembered, oh yeah, I remember these 2 guys used to have some nice keyboards, so I also want to kind of delve into that. So I asked them, hey, what's a good $70, $80 keyboard that I can get that's not too expensive? They sucked me in. 2 weeks later, I had a Real Force 87U, 55 grams, and that's how it started. I was basically all about, like, Topra Master Race. I mean, I didn't really try most of the other ones, you know, outside of some gaming boards, but I basically went from an 87U. I bought another 87U just because I found a good price on Mech Market. I traded that for an FC 660C. Then I went to an FC 980C. Then I decided to go endgame to a High Pro, which I modded, and then I sold that off because it wasn't the endgame. And then I went back to an FC 980C, and then I went to a 104 UK, and then I sold that off, and then then it's just like the rabbit hole from there. So then now I started to kind of I started diving into some more like mechanical keyboards, like with Telios and Zelios and stuff. But it all started with Topra. Right now I have 3 keyboards that I actively use. The first one is my KBD75 with lubed Telios, and that is for gaming. Just because I really want to try like a smooth linear switch for gaming, because I want it to be light on my fingers. And it's also the compact layout is just good for gaming because I have no use for the numpad and all the other functions. So my work keyboard is my newly built TXCP with the Zelios V2. Absolute dream board. I love it. I like tactiles for work because it's a little more, I don't know, it feels like I'm getting things done with the tactile feeling. And for my travel, I have a Happy Hacking Bluetooth keyboard.
Favorite key set?
Favorite key set, I'm all about Enjoy PBT. I love the look of GMKs, but the double shot ABS doesn't work for my gaming fingers because I get sweaty hands sometimes, and then the materials tends to like stick to my fingers a lot, so I only stick with PBT. So I think Enjoy PBT 9009 is probably one of my favorites.
Favorite designer?
I think it's really hard to say. I think so many of them, you know, like Quantric has some nice boards, you know, Duck has some nice boards, you know, TX. I mean, I I only own one of them, so I can't really say I have a favorite, but they all look really nice.
Favorite layout?
I love the 1800 just because, I'm all about productivity and my work requires kind of a big keyboard in general. But, I hate full size because it's just so long and too big for my taste. So I think the 1800, it looks beautiful, it's compact, it's functional, and it's my favorite by far.
Plate material.
Favorite plate material? I personally think it's brass, but that's because all the million typing videos that I hear, the brass plates tend to sound the best.
Lube?
Probably 205 grade 0. I mean, the thicker lubes I tend to like more. They have more of an impact on the typing experience. So, oh, absolutely. So I think playing Starcraft, you need that F key on the F row on top. Just because that's another hotkey. That's like a camera key that's absolutely like a necessity for Starcraft gamers. So that's why, as much as 60% are super popular in the mechanical keyboard community, I can never really use one. So the F keys and just kind of anything that's compact.
What was like the biggest change or like aha moment you had when experimenting with keyboards?
Definitely lubing, because lubing makes the entire experience so much more smoother. Like whether it's with Toper boards or with just like regular mechanical keyboards, it's like you go from kind of scratchy and clacky to much more of like a smoother experience. So that changed everything for me.
Does your keyboard make you a better gamer?
Psychologically, yes, but realistically, probably no. I think it makes me enjoy my gaming experience more, which might make me a better gamer. But I think I can game on anything that's not a nuisance to my fingers. Well, I think a lot of Korean pros are stuck to the traditional membrane board that's called the Qsen DT35. I think it's like a $20-$30 beater board. I think it's just really, I think it's just more kind of comfortable. It's cheap, they can just kind of throw around and they don't have to take care of it. But I do know a lot of them also use Leopolds, especially in Korea. I know a few also use things like Roforce, but I don't really see many of them using boutique switches though. So usually kind of the pre-built, reds or browns or something like that. It's just having something that's yours. It defines you. It also is of such high quality. You feel like you're I don't know, just like a higher echelon of I don't know, nerds or something like that. But I think the typing experience in general is at least somebody like me, where I work full-time corporate job, so I work 40 plus hours a week on a keyboard. I'm also a Starcraft gamer, so I spend a lot of my time on a keyboard. So in general, I feel like having like a good investment for a keyboard is definitely always worth it, because I'm probably on it the most out of a lot of the other devices that I use. I probably use a keyboard more than I am on my phone so for me, I really justify the investment because I love the hobby and I love the feel of it too.
You think the profile makes a difference for you?
It does, but I've gamed with the MT3 to the high profile, and I thought it would be terrible. But it's not. I mean, I think the cherry profile is probably the best. But I think as long as you can just get used to it, then it should be fine. But I think something standard is definitely the most optimal. I would say the gaming community, lighting and RGB lighting is also very important. I think a lot of some customs definitely have all that stuff, but I noticed a good number of customs don't have it, like programmed into the PCB, or the options are more limited. Or it just takes a lot more work, or it's hard to find like kind of programmable RGB lights or backlighting. So I think if that were a little more accessible and easier, that would be definitely be nice. And I would say for somebody like me or somebody new to the community would definitely appreciate something that's more hot swappable, just because it's really hard to even get your hands on these boards because they're expensive. So it'd be nice if you can kind of just pop the switches in and out, and I think the options for hot swappable is also a little bit limited. It's great. I mean, I feel like I've been a bit of a lurker, but I also kind of post asking for help a lot, just because let's say just advice on switches and how things feel like. I feel like for the most part, now I don't know all the the details and on the back end of stuff. But I feel like for the most part, everyone is so supportive and helpful. I think in general, it's a hobby where people who are in it really love to spread it, and they love when other people get into it, just because it is kind of a niche and kind of a quirky hobby. So I think in general, people are really supportive, helpful, and my experience has been very positive. It was life-changing. Going from like a crappy Logitech membrane board at work for a Real Force 87U 55 grams. I mean, even without typing on it, it's just, the thing is just like so well built. It's sturdy. Like the keycaps itself are just like, they look really nice. They feel nice. The typing experience, I'm like, whoa, this is just a completely new world. So like, I know it sounds like I'm kind of emphasizing a little, but going from just like the typical membrane boards, like, you know, the $20 ones, to something that's actually tactile and, quality makes me, I don't know, feel like I'm more productive, or, you know, feel like I'm, I don't know, more official or something.
Things you want to try in the keyboard world but haven't been able to yet, and why?
All of your keyboards. They sound amazing. Again, I've only owned a few mechanical keyboards that are not Topra, and I can't really try them just because of the price. I always have to justify all my purchases. So if I buy a keyboard, that means I'm probably selling one out. So I definitely want to try the famed Holy Pandas. I also want to try a very high quality vintage blackboard on a brass plate. There's also other boards I just want to try with, like, you know, the polycarb plates, or, you know, acrylic type cases, kind of those funny ones out there. But I don't think I would actually use it. I just want to try it. But, you know, since I don't want to just buy it just to try it, you know, that's kind of a barrier to me.
Have you ever attended a mechanical keyboard meetup?
No, but I really want to. I think I was just into the hobby a little bit too late. And I think when there was there was one around in SoCal, maybe in San Diego, I forget. But at the time, I wasn't passionate enough, and I also felt like I wasn't like elite enough. Like at the time, I think I only had like a Real Force. I'm like, oh, I don't have much to contribute to all these guys. But I do want to attend one. I would say yes, but I would also say there's definitely a lot of hurdles and challenges. I think, number one, the price point. Number two, you know, a lot of the top gamers are sponsored by big brands, and they're oftentimes forced to use their keyboards. But I still feel as though, you know, if it enhances the gaming experience and this is your career and your life, and especially when we're moving towards an era of kind of expression, I feel like a lot of gamers would like the appeal of it if it's more accessible, and if you know, they can customize it to their liking. And I could definitely see it growing. It's just a matter of how fast it grows, and that might take some time. As much as my wife allows. I definitely want to keep trying, but I'm pretty... I try to plan it in the sense that, like, if I buy a new keyboard, that means I'm gonna sell existing ones. So I'm always gonna cap the number that I have at, you know, 2 or 3. So I'm definitely probably gonna buy some more and trade some and sell some, but I definitely plan to continue. I don't regret it, just because I feel like they have good resale value. So I've never really, especially because I've tried like 20 different Topra keyboards. And they all maintain their value really well. So I honestly feel like I get my money back, you know, less shipping every single time I get a board, I mod it, and if I don't like it. So I never really regret it. And it's all about the experience, you know, just like trying different things. So, you know, I'm willing to eat a few costs just for the experience, and so I really haven't regretted anything. Now, I'm not telling them to get, like, you know, a duck octagon on their first purchase. You know, like, I might tell them, like, hey, check out this Leopold, or check out, like, this plum. You know, a lot of my friends, especially in the gaming community, actually bought plums because of me, because I used to use that on my streams. It sounded nice. It's not too expensive, like, you know, sub 150, and they were more than willing to do it. And I think even the people who are not even gamers, just people like in the corporate world, or, I tell them about keyboards and they try it, they're like, oh, actually that's pretty cool. Like, and I feel like it's kind of a thing. It almost always gets interest. It almost always becomes something that they want. It's just a question of whether it's worth it to them from a price perspective. Definitely the aesthetics is important for me, just because, I do work at home and like, I want my layout to be very aesthetically pleasing and just kind of matching. And again, I like the classic looks. I don't like kind of colorful or kind of fruity, bright looks. And then I definitely want the switches, the smoothness of the switches. So I think aesthetics and feel are almost kind of equal to me. And I don't know, smaller things, just kind of like lighting is kind of a plus for me, but not a need. And also just layout, just how I'm going to use the board. So,
What about sound?
Sound is definitely huge too. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't always know how it's going to sound, and I think sound and feel are one of those things that like I'm definitely shooting for, but kind of just have to rely on your videos to to trust that.
Okay, so you are the first gamer to be an affiliate for Zeal. Could you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think, it happens in your Discord server. We were just talking. I didn't even know who Zeal was. I mean, I've heard of Zelios and his websites, but it actually took me a few weeks to kind of connect, like, oh, this is Zeal, It actually took me a lot of time to, like, connect, like, all these other people in the server, like, oh, I actually watch your videos a lot. I didn't know that was you. But anyways, I think it was just kind of like Zeal just took a flyer on me. I am, big in the Starcraft community, but the Starcraft community is also very small. So I'm not sure how strong my exposure is, but at the same time, I think, I'm an active streamer, I'm well known, I'm invited to a lot of events, so I think Zeal kind of figures I'm like a very low risk, a stock market pick that, if I blow up in 5 years, then it'll pay off for him. But yeah, I don't know. We just talked and he's like, hey, if you want to be affiliate, apply. I'm like, okay, that'll be cool. And, I don't really necessarily care about the referral money. I just, want to just spread my love of keyboards to other people. So. Well, I think I just built it. I think it's the TX 1800. I've always been saying that for a long time because I wanted an 1800 layout for my work board because I want the numpad and also some functions that I use for Excel. It's white, and I love white. I love all things white. It's got amazing tactile switches with Zelios V2, brass plate. The keycaps are still in the way, but to be honest, I think I found my end, but I think many of you guys will disagree. I am on the Reddit community. That's probably where I see most of my content, to be honest. I have an account on Geekhack, but I don't really use it as much. I feel like the old forum layout's a little bit difficult for me to navigate or just kind of like want to go to often. So really just all on Reddit. I am not. I'm still trying to dab my feet into really high-end customs, and I think artisans cost a lot for what they are, and so I think until I get more acclimated with just my custom boards and design, I might just stay away from artisans for now.
Would you ever put artisans on a board dedicated for gaming?
I would if I had the right ones. I think one of your videos that had the Miami Nights, and I think that Shishi or whatever looked beautiful, like on the escape key. So I think from a design perspective, it's definitely really nice. But I think I have to make sure I have to figure out the design of the board first that like really clicks for me. Then I'll put that little cherry on top. I think one thing that I want to support is the Plum keyboards. They're known as Topra clones. They're known as the cheaper version of Topras, and I get why. The build quality is definitely notably worse in terms of the keycaps, the build, and the experience. But at the same time, it kind of has its own appeal. Like it's, I wouldn't say it's a worse Topra. I think it's less the build quality, but in terms of the actual switches and feeling, it's actually quite smooth, and I think if you mod it similar to the way you mod a normal Toper board, like you can actually put genuine Toper domes in it or BKEs, and it actually feels really good. So yeah, I don't think plums get too much love. I think they're known to be more cheaper type boards, but definitely the plums are something that I like.
First impression of Nathan Kim.
This guy's a god. I mean, when I first saw the typing videos before I even knew who he was or like his face, I'm like, wow, these videos sound amazing. And I'd go and listen on repeat, and I listened to him all the time, and then I don't know, I got to know him a little bit more, and I realized, oh man, this guy just started this whole keyboard thing like a couple months from when I first started to see it, and I was like, oh wow, this guy's just like a normal chill dude, but it's taken a lot of initiative to kind of make some of the things that he wants to happen, and I really respect that. So yeah, overall great first and second and third impression, and all the thousands of views that I've given your videos.
Yeah, that's all the questions I had for you today, Jay. Thank you so much for inviting me to your home.
Yeah.
Risky move, but yeah, it's a great time interviewing you. Thank you for allowing me to be on your stream and your time as well. If any closing remarks.
Yeah, I mean, thank you everybody for just watching. Thank you for just also being just like a warm community and also supporting me. And yeah, let's keep chasing the end together. So.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. All right, we did it.